Why?
Good gosh, why?
Because we were going to get to it eventually.
Okay, so apparently it was because they wanted to design a controller for, at the time, a more modern audience. That's directly from an interview with Sakamoto. Despite the fact that it was 2010 and analog sticks had been a thing since 1996.
Okay, yeah, Nintendo basically invented the analog stick so that we wouldn't have to deal with this shit.
The Wii even comes with a nunchuck when you buy the system.
And when you look at the other arms controls, there's really no reason why you shouldn't be able to just do it with the nunchuck anyway.
The rabbit hole goes deeper as far as the controls go. The controls limit this game so much. So goddamn much.
This game
could have been fun.
This game is frustrating because, as Lewis said, this could have been phenomenal. This had the potential to be a great game, and I personally, I feel like it's not the worst I've played, but it has a lot of problems.
The game has its qualities. Like, bear with me, they're in there.
We say as the overly symbolic nonsense floats.
The story is not one of them.
No.
The story is
No.
Garbo. It's Sakamoto going all George Lucas over the Metroid series, but the graphics are nice. Art design not so much, but the graphics are nice. And if the game design had been better in the controls and level design department, it could have been an interesting 3D/2D hybrid game for the series, kind of like what
It begins.
The first line of dialogue. Why am I still
crawling in
No,
my
I think
skin?
it's like I think what they meant was how am I still alive? But it's like, why am I still alive?
You
like,
know,
she knows.
I'm asking
She saw the
I'm
movie.
asking
So
why
fucking
this person
get
beat Super Metroid with only 4 energy tanks. Like, jeez, how bad are you?
Where's the gravity suit? What happened? Did you sequence break that badly?
Also, high referencing, as this game will be commented to much better games.
Yeah, you know, say what you will about this game. This opening sequence is gorgeous. Though.
It is gorgeous, but it's kind of let down by the voice acting, which is awful. But
the only voice actor who's even close to
one
decent
of the
is
things
Anthony.
that gets me, just from the very start of this game, from the aesthetic of it, is that you can see through Samus's helmet a lot more clearly than in like any other fucking game. And I mean, like, you could always sort of see her eyes when the graphics were good enough for them to do that. I think even Super Metroid did that. But like, they really want you to see the face under the helmet in this game. Like, they really want you to remember, hey, Samus is that girl in the blue suit. You remember her from Smash Brothers? Yeah. She's in
Samus is a girl?
For the sake of the older games, the visor has 2 modes where you can see through it, and I guess like a battle mode where it glows.
Yeah, she's sort of on.
Which I guess works as a two-way mirror. Otherwise, how the fuck is Samus seeing through all this shit?
Well, narratively, I would understand why they did that, because it allows.
It's not rainbow-colored, ruined forever. Taste the rainbow, motherfucker.
It allows them to show her face, which in any other game would mean that it allows them to show her emotions. The problem with that is that in practice, this version of Samus Aran is cardboard.
A stick of butter.
A stick of butter. She's a stick of tofu. She's tofu from Resident Evil 2.
A stick of tofu with a skin-tight suit. And yeah, now you're imagining a piece of tofu with a zero suit. You are welcome for that.
Now, imagine playing through tofu mode in Resident Evil 2 like that. That'd be awesome.
with the zero suit.
Yeah. Someone mod this for this
still
game
has
now.
a perfectly defined ass.
Well, speaking of that, that's a good segue. Thank you, John. Before this game came out, people were really worried that Team Ninja would destroy the feminist viability of Samus Aran or something. And it's funny that was the worry, because like everything about this game that's terrible was Nintendo's decision. Sakamoto's decision.
Sakamoto's decision. Not so much Nintendo, Sakamoto's.
Like, the talent, every ounce of good quality that I can see in this game clearly comes from Team Ninja.
Yes.
So
it's so frustrating because
they were unfortunately caught in the crossfire.
It's so frustrating because this game clearly does have a lot of very strong points too. Like, it's not. A lot of people are very hyperbolic about this game, I find. Just like, oh, this is the worst game ever. This destroyed Metroid. This is one of the worst games of all time. And I feel like, no, this is not a good game. But this is, even with all of its faults, as a game, the story's garbage, I will agree. But as a game, this isn't the worst thing ever. This is not the Sonic 06 of Metroid. It's heavily flawed, but there was so much potential here.
Yeah.
And that's what frustrates me. It's almost more frustrating than Sonic 06 in that case, because this could have been an amazing game, and it's not.
Oh, this hits me harder than 06.
Yeah.
Well, because we were used to bad Sonic games at that point.
Our parents were trained for that sort of shit.
Well,
You're right.
the other thing now though is that it's we're recording this on October 7th, 2017. We've had Metroid: Samus Returns for a few weeks now, and I need to get myself a 3DS grip so that I can play it without my hands cramping up. But it's a really good game, we're getting Metroid Prime 4. We don't know anything about it. We just know Metroid Prime 4 is happening. So the sting of Other M being pretty terrible is not quite as fresh anymore, and we don't have to worry about it meaning that there's no more Metroid coming.
Yeah.
But for a good handful of years, that
This
was what it
did
looked
kill the
like.
franchise. Yeah.
Yeah. And, well, it's...
All right.
And
So let's go ahead, Ryan.
I was just gonna ask. Wasn't part of the problem also that I can't remember, but didn't Sakamoto kind of throw Team Ninja under the bus from this game?
Because he's still a creative director for this series. He was credited on
Yeah.
Samus Returns as well. So,
Yeah.
He's still...
I was just saying I can't remember if he did or didn't, which
it was
also
his
hard.
idea. I believe it was Sakamoto's idea to make a Metroid 2 remake in the first. I think Mercury Steam originally wanted to remake Fusion.
Yes.
So that I think was the right call, because Fusion didn't need the remake as much.
Which is to say, this game, it baffles the hell out of me because, Sakamoto has been with the series since the beginning. He was part of the original development team for Metroid 1 on the
Yeah, and
NES.
he was on Super and all that.
He was there for 2. He was there for Super Metroid, Fusion, Zero Mission. The guy's got a resume for good Metroid games, and then suddenly he lost his fucking mind.
It's a compliment. Just because you're good at telling one type of a story doesn't mean you're good at telling a different type of a story.
Well, the other thing is, you don't have to be a bad creator to have bad ideas or to put out bad work. Like, Harry Potter was excellent. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was excellent. The stage play, well, the stage production was good, but the story, no.
You see, we're going through this tutorial right now, and we had what was really promising about this game, which was just running around in a 3D environment, third person with Metroid, and that works okay, D-pad notwithstanding.
It's basically Metroid 3D Land, and that, on paper, is a really good concept.
Yeah, that works fine. The needing to do the concentration thing to refill your missiles, and, oh god, the first-person stuff,
How can she just heal her? How can she just heal herself?
Okay, the concentration thing, is kind of a drag when you have to do it, but it also kind of wrecks the challenge of the game in another way. And, other people have said this is better than I can, but, part of the challenge, and I had this experience when playing Samus Returns too, is finding yourself in a situation where you have to fight tooth and nail when you're at low health and low ammo. And, Samus Returns has that challenge. Other M does not. You can refill your missiles anytime you want, and if you're below 1 bar of health, you can refill that bar to 100%. So you'll never have less than a bar.
You're very rarely in danger in this game.
Yeah, but it's frustrating playing at 1% of your health all the time.
Yeah, there is some merit to designing a game like that, because if you can recover between encounters, you can make individual encounters more challenging rather than making the long haul the real challenge. A lot of JRPGs have been doing that more recently, but the thing...
Not to mention, the game has a built-in, what I call the second chance, naming after Kingdom Hearts, where if you take critical damage at low health, you don't immediately die. You're sent to 1 unit of health.
Yeah, you have to take one more good hit in order to die. Yeah. But the thing about it is, the overall challenge of the game, whether it's boss fights or normal enemies, is pretty damn easy anyway. The only hard enemies are the ones that pop up all over the place during endgame, and those are just kind of...
2 sentences in a row invoking the line, the 2 words, the baby. Get used to that a lot in this game.
It's it's actually kind of irritating because Samus Returns actually got me very endeared to the baby. Like, the baby Metroid in that game is freaking adorable. And the final boss in that game, which I won't spoil for Lewis if he doesn't already know, or for the players if they haven't gotten a chance to play, or viewers, I should say. The final boss actually got me to really like the baby Metroid a lot. And, like, it's frustrating looking at this script because I can see what they're going for. Like, for example, like, in that scene there, Samus is supposed to be, like, not really kind of processing that, well, this thing that I considered a child is gone. Like, that's an interesting emotion.
The writing is so basic and the acting so wooden. It sounds really, really stupid.
Yeah, I know. It's not that the ideas or the themes are wrong in theory. It's the execution that's very flawed.
In theory, this is a really goddamn ambitious story for the Metroid series. It tries badly, but tries to tie up so many things that previous Metroid games have done.
And future.
The story has
technically future, because there's a lot of fusion references
The story has connections to Super Metroid Fusion, Metroid 2. It tries to give Ridley some goddamn development by making him a Pokemon.
But because Sakamoto is a petty fuck, it completely ignores the Prime games.
Yeah, which always rubbed me the wrong way. But, they're trying... The Other M is trying to tie the whole series together and explain Samus's backstory in one fell swoop. And, if it had been better, that would have been excellent. That would have been a great way for this game to break into a new generation and a new style of play. But it falls apart in so many places.
Yeah. It's just that, but the subtlety of some of the overtones.
You mean the complete lack of it?
Thereof.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's like it just smacks you in the face like a fucking sledgehammer.
Or like a giant metal bottle.
Yes, indeed. I can't wait. This is the kind of shit like even first playthrough, I was raising an eyebrow at because okay, she had to have mentioned the Metroid baby 6,000 times right at this point. Of course, I'm being exaggerating. 6,001 times. And then
what 9,000?
That we're heading into a ship. That's the shape of a bottle.
The code name was the distress game was Baby's Cry.
Yeah. The bottle ship, by the way, is a really terrible setting for a video game, and I don't mean that just because it's on the nose symbolism like nothing else. It's also like it's like badly designed from a narrative and gameplay standpoint. Like from a gameplay standpoint,
it's their attempt at recreating the BSL station from Fusion.
Yeah, I was
why
just
didn't
gonna
they
say,
just name it a BSL base station? Because that would make more sense.
But first of all, since we're in a 3D world, we expect more architectural cohesion from places, and the weird geographic environments and the wilderness areas is fine, but Gaming Brent pointed this out. To get to the only food in the station, you have to go through the jungle or the volcano.
we're getting straight up Spencer Mansion in this at points.
Well, Spencer's Mansion at least had some illusion of being a place where people could have lived.
Can I bitch for a second? These sections right here are the worst part of the game. The parts where you have to play Where's Waldo in order to continue the story, fuck those parts. There's one point in the middle of the game where I spent literally 15 minutes trying to find the pixel that the game wanted me to find, and I couldn't do it.
The first thing I did when I picked this game up was stand there like an idiot for 5 minutes, not realizing I was supposed to be looking at the goddamn ship.
Something's supposed to happen.
Also, please note that aside from the very basic tutorial, it took us 13 minutes to get to actually playing the game.
Well, that I don't care so much about that.
You can skip all the cutscenes even on a first playthrough, so that's not an issue.
A long establishment cutscene in a game that's supposed to be about its story, at least predominantly, is fine. I'm more miffed that the story itself was garbage. But
it's one of those things where I wish even story-based games do something to try and get you involved in the action, compared to. Yeah. I'm just going to use an example I know. Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah, Metroid Other M goes to that modern game design fallback of locking you in a room and having you do basic actions until the game is sure that you're not.
Yeah, if anything, remarkably, I would still say the worst of it is still Fusion, because that's a 6-minute cutscene you can't skip.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, what you should do if you're ever playing Metroid Fusion is after watching that cutscene for the first time, walk back into the ship, save, copy that save file, and then you can play the game starting from there at any point you want.
Here's the thing that confuses me. They have a model for Samus's basic armor, the one without the big old shoulders. But they don't let you use it as an alternate costume.
Well, because you already have your upgrades.
I know,
in your
but
suit.
Alternate
you just
costume,
can't use them,
man.
No.
You have it. give us an extra. I mean, why
you know,
not?
actually, considering that this is a Team Ninja game, I'm surprised we didn't get like 12 different alternate costumes.
I'm surprised we didn't get 12 different alternate costumes with at least 5 of them being bikinis. But you know, that's just because Team Ninja's involved and bikinis are their jam. It's basically all the money they make off Dead or Alive 5 now is another set of bikinis every month. But you know, speaking of costumes though, the art design in this game is very slick and shiny. Too slick and shiny. I don't like it.
Everything looks like it's made of rubber.
Everything had a more, I want to say, edgy look to it in the Prime games.
Don't worry, guys. The Galactic Federation will protect Samus.
And by edgy, I mean things had more actual physical edges to them. Like Samus's costume had more ridges. The Galactic Federation troopers had more, you know, squared off armor rather than this round.
Samus's
stuff.
armor is sleek to the point where from a distance it kind of looks inflatable.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that I'm glad for is that Metroid at Samus Returns came with a new Samus amiibo, so that I can have a Samus amiibo that
It's
doesn't
gorgeous.
have the other costume. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I will say, technically, for a Wii game, this is one of the best looking games on the system.
It's one of the best looking games, but it has two. It has, well, for one, it has that late PS2 era problem of a lot of cutscenes being pre-rendered, and another of the things is that the environments, you know, the graphics are great, but the environments look really graphically limited because of the camera perspective.
I believe it's one of the. I'm not sure how many games on the Wii were dual layered besides Brawl.
It's, I believe, this, Brawl, and Prime Trilogy,
Yeah.
I believe, are the only ones that come to mind.
It's that thing where, you know how in the Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, because the camera's pulled back and usually above you, all the environments have a kind of boxy feel to them, where the geometry is pretty simple.
Adam hadn't authorized it. Here we go.
We can talk more about that later, but the environments are simple, like boxy. They look video gamey.
I think that's an element of trying to have the 2D Metroid level design in a 3D space, which doesn't really work. You know,
That's true, but the level design in Metroid Prime wasn't all that different.
No,
from a 2D Metroid game when you got down to it.
Oh no, I'm not
still-
saying that. I'm not saying that it works in other.
Before we go too far, I know we're all enjoying Roxy's thumbnail at this point. That's been up for 4 years.
Dude, we're gonna have
Roxy,
we're gonna have 5 minutes.
Roxy, I'm so sorry it takes so long to
Dude,
get the
Ryan,
thumbnail up.
stop trying to end the parts early. We're gonna go on for 5 minutes after every part. I guarantee it, because this is the kind of game.
But that's why we have footage for.
Whatever, man.
All I'm saying is that in Metroid Prime, because you were in first person, every object in every level, every environment had to look good from every angle, and it did. In Metroid Other M, it's like they didn't care so much, so the environments look like they're meant to be viewed from one specific angle and nothing else, and everything looks artificial as a result.
Man, if BrainScratch had end cards, we'd be fucking hosed.